style player.
This makes a bit more sense.
That's surprisingly, Fiora ban here does make sense against Elwyn. The analyst desk were talking about how he kind of shut out Oceania.
It didn't matter what his teammates did. He just won the game.
Yes.
That was how it worked.
I mean, there is room for picks like Fiora and that are able to kind of push the tanks back down before they can ever get tanky enough. There is room for that. We may see people play that style, but it's a lot more difficult.
Well, Porky, that's what he wants to look at. LeBlanc is going to be banned away from Saya, interestingly enough.
Yes, and what that tells you is Turkey put LeBlanc as a first pick status.
Yeah.
Because they would normally like the LeBlanc, but they feel like Latin America North would be taking it away as their first pick. Some people have been talking about that, but we haven't really seen that settle properly yet.
With our 2-game sample size,
exactly.
LeBlanc permabanned for all of 6.23. Hasn't had a look in the entire time. Vayne as well, just off the rift for all of these 2 games.
So we are seeing some consistency.
Yeah, Lee Sin as well, so Oddie not going to be playing that one.
So we still have other junglers available. Nidalee made it through last game, and Elise, and neither were picked.
Yeah.
Neither were picked. So that was a bit of an interesting one because we were still expecting them to be up in the top echelon. So now do we look for mid laners? The Rise is up still, but that I think was more against Kira.
That is true. That is
in the last game.
Quite a few different options. Didn't see the Rengar at all. Syndra is going to be the final ban here from Latin America North on the blue side, interestingly enough. We'll see what Saya actually wants to look for. The guy's a Cassiopeia player.
Yeah.
When I last saw him, but Saya's, I mean, he could possibly play Twitch.
So
the dude in the 1v1 tournament dominated people with it last year.
There's a little difference between the 1v1 tournament and...
I don't know, man. This is IWCA. This is about trying new things, experimenting, figuring things out. And you were talking about the Rise that he's going to be banned away here by Turkey.
And where does that leave us? Like, in days gone by or Worlds, you'd be looking now at like a Cassiopeia or a Vlad matchup.
Yeah, hope so.
That would be the likely mid lane matchup. Do we go now to 80 carries and look to lock something in? In the last game, we saw low priority on that. There's a lot of junglers available.
Yeah, that's true.
Last game, the Syndra was the first pick.
What is the one that slots into second priority? This is only the second game stress. It's okay. We're not supposed to be able to predict exactly what is happening at this particular point. We are allowed to go on that roller coaster ride and see what these guys do want to do, because there are still definitely a lot of champions that they do have the opportunity of playing that are very, very strong. I mean, something like Nautilus could be an opportunity here for Porky, or might grab that Poppy. We saw tanks just be so strong, or tanky champions just in general. See whether they go that way. No, Karma is going to be the option and was banned in game number 1, so now going to be snapped up here by Nuzul or potentially Saya.
So Karma, for a very long time now, that flex potential. If Turkey don't want to play a tank style and are anticipating Latin America North playing a tank style, you could pick the Trundle first rotation here and flex it.
Yep.
Obviously very, very good at dealing with any kind of tanky champions, so could still have prominence in the top lane.
I think that Crystal should pick Rek'Sai.
You think Crystal should pick Rek'Sai? I don't think that's a bad idea.
I don't think I've ever seen Crystal not play Rek'Sai. The dude was just a huge fan of that champion. It was Rek'Sai Gragas when I last saw him play, but didn't really keep up with the TCL. We'll see what he has been doing on Aurora. But Jin being looked at. This is interesting. That ain't, because that's exactly what I was talking about.
It's not locked in yet. There's still a chance.
It's gonna happen, mate. We got 5 seconds to go. And look, if this is his wheelhouse, oh, there it is. Locked away, Crystal. Most certainly on comfort here for our first Summoner's Rift game for Turkey.
And with the Jhin picked up, very different bottom lane setup here to our first game where we had Ashe and Ezreal, a little bit more passive, so Jhin looking for that lane prominence. I'm interested to see where the build will go, because obviously with the lethality changes, the armor penetration, some people are talking about going for the old Jhin build, where you build more towards critical strike.
The Essence Reaver for the
exactly.
reduction, things
you
like
start going that way instead. So, Latin America North, the playing field is open.
And Oddie's gonna grab it. Ivern has been locked away. Brushes are gonna be created all over the place. Daisy running around. Not sure how smart she is, but she's certainly going to be on the Rift. And we'll see how he's going to be able to play this one out.
We have seen a very small number of competitive Ivern games. Zanzara was one that played it, we talked about. He actually didn't do a whole lot, and the team just kind of won around him. We'll get into Ivan's kit throughout the game, but very, very different jungler. High crowd control early on in the game. That Q really will lock people down, and comboed with the Caitlyn, perhaps, if we see that bot lane level 3 gank off Red and Krugs, if that's possible, you know, we'll just maybe end up seeing Ivan go through. That's an interesting one, actually. I haven't seen too much Ivan since the Krugs change.
Yeah, exactly right. We'll see whether he's just going to be out. He'll just nurse that camp. I mean, it doesn't even really matter. He doesn't hurt anything in the jungle, so the fact that it just respawns over and over again, I think it's just going to disappear. But I don't actually know, to be perfectly frank. It's Rusty that's the Ivern guy. Just leave it all to him. But we are going to see Dumbledoge's Bard, which I'm so incredibly excited about. He played it so well earlier this year at MSI. Zeitnot is going to take away the Poppy. So pretty standard looking Turkish team composition here. Elwind going to be on that tank towards the top side. Now Latin America North to round things out. And look, Saya often plays crazy stuff. I just really want Latin America North to just put a massive spanner in these works.
Then so has Porky. Maybe not so weird stuff, but he played some Echo Top when nobody else really was playing it later. Yeah. He played a bunch of the Na as well in his most recent games. Those were back in August, so a bit of a different meta as well. So I wonder where he's going to go now after not having been on Summoner's Rift in a competitive stance for a very long time.
Yeah, it has been a long time. 10 seconds to go. He does have to make up his mind.
Okay.
As Trundle makes a heck of a lot of sense against Poppy. Was sort of the standard pick into it at Worlds and seems to still be working out here. As wouldn't be able to actually utilize the Courage of the Colossus as much unless he can get that sort of little pop-up on the pillar.
But what he lacks in that respect, he's now going to just steal away. I guess probably still Grasp of the Undying. I haven't seen too much Trundle in the top side, but obviously the ability to steal resistances kind of will weaken the enemy rather than make himself stronger. So if we're going old school, or at least on the old meta, you'd be looking at Vlad here for the middle lane.
Oh, I like this option though from Naru. He is a legacy Orianna player, as most people are, to be perfectly honest. It's not exactly a ridiculous thing to say, but makes a lot of sense given the fact that they do have some decent delivery systems, what with Magical Journey possibly being able to help him out as far as getting a ball into the right position for Elwind or for Crystal. So just a solid team comp coming out of Turkey, and a lot of interesting stuff from Latin America North, but their siege potential is out of control. Disengage, also pretty ridiculous. So if Latin America North can make Turkey play their style of League of Legends for this game, they should be in a very good position. But we've spoken about this Turkish squad. I mean, most of these guys have a lot of experience playing with one another. See whether they are going to be able to make it work here in this new composition of Dark Passage players that they have.
Exactly.
It's not quite true.
Latin America North.
I say it a lot, but it's not quite true.
A lot of later game potential with the Cassiopeia, with the Caitlyn as well. You're talking about that siege potential.
Yeah.
A lot of threat there.
A lot of headshot potential as well, with brushes being able to be created everywhere.
Yeah, that's one of the combinations that we haven't really seen too much in competitive play. But over on the other side, obviously team fighting, a major strength of Team Fire representatives from Turkey here. So one Orianna Shockwave, we've seen it time and time again, turn games around. So
most certainly change the fate of that battle. And they just have so many big, beefy members, which we saw the CIS were able to utilize very, very effectively. I mean, that Rek'Sai Poppy combination is so strong. We'll see whether they're going to be able to do it. But make sure you get on Twitter. Tweet at LOL eSports, hashtag LAN win if you think that Latin America North are going to be able to take this one, or TUR win if you think that Turkey is going to be able to get themselves the victory. I personally just want to watch what Ivan can do, because I haven't seen it in a competitive game for quite some time. Of course, there was like one game that I saw from like Southeast Asia or something like that where some fun stuff was happening.
There was only one other game that I saw, and we were doing the Ragnarok qualifiers for the DreamHack finals for the European Challenger Series Open. And honestly, so we saw an Ivern support paired with Mordekaiser, so I'm not really holding
incredible.
It that high up in the standings. I am very interested to see some of the unique interactions, hopefully, that Ivern will give. So Ivern doesn't attack the jungle.
No.
Which a lot of people will be confused about if you haven't played Ivern. He simply marks a camp and then comes back 45 seconds at the beginning of the game later. That will go shorter and shorter throughout the game. But you're about to see...
just throws out a root caller there as he's dancing around.
And you can see how long that lasts for. How large the projectile range is, how long it lasts for.
He's such a jangly weirdo. It's amazing. Oh, So loud as well. I mean, I feel like it should just be Ivern Cam. Can we just have Ivern Cam, guys?
So it looks like Ivern starts on blue side, so you won't have that gank towards the bottom side. I haven't had the opportunity to see a whole lot of Ivern, so I don't know his specific interactions. I would assume the fact that Krugs don't respawn.
I can actually feel Rusty,
difficult.
by the way, on the analyst desk right now, just
Probably.
ready to create this massive segment on what Ivern can do. So don't necessarily feel like we need to say everything, because he does like to think that he is an expert on the champion, and I agree.
So
Dude
this is the mark.
good.
And then what Oddie can now do is come back to this a little later in the game. Note that if you smite a marked camp, you will automatically kill the camp as well. So I'm really interested to see Oddie's pathing here, because first real-time and competitive. At this rate, you can see he's only level 1. Crystal is level 2. So it costs Ivern health to mark camps, and then he will end up getting it back as he comes through the jungle and is able to level up and get smite. So a lot of people have kind of prophesized that Ivern will get invaded level 1 and then end up dying. So we'll see how that ends up going for him.
It's all about which one of these camps you are going to mark, as this one now is able to be taken, grabs that one easily, and be able to get a bunch of his mana back.
Really importantly as well, as this game goes on, you'll end up seeing that later on in the game, when Ivern takes, I think it's the second camp, he leaves behind a secondary buff for his teammates. So if you're blue side in bot lane, Caitlyn will get a red buff at around about that second buff timing.
And anyone that has had a horrible experience on the bottom side of the map and a buff has gone over to a Caitlyn, I mean, Caitlyn with red buff early is gross. Caitlyn early is gross, but Caitlyn with a red buff is something that I wish upon no enemy of mine ever. It's just how it works. As Root Caller gets Oddie over this wall and he's going to steal it away.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do on Ivern. Sorry to interrupt you. Get into the enemy jungle.
This is exciting.
Use that smite down, get yourself out.
Well, that is at least one steal, as Crystal not going to be near that at all. Was probably wanting to give that over to Naru as well, which is what Rek'Sai likes to do when he's got a mana user in that mid lane for that first blue buff, but just not going to happen flat out this game.
And that's the other side of it is, a lot of people will say, well, why isn't blue buff so important? Well, typically the mid laners are going to get that buff anyway. Yeah. So we'll end up seeing how the pathing changes. Ivern does, however, attack epic monsters, and you know, so he's not useless at dragons. Still,
he's a friend of the forest, not a friend of the river.
Exactly.
Oh wait, unless he, I don't think he can kill the old Rift Scuttlers either. So maybe he is a bit of a friend of the river.
I think you can.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna find out right now. Yeah. Possibly. Come on, Oddie.
Possibly.
Come on, man. Don't let us down. Never mind. He's gonna find his way in. Root Caller. Gigantic range. But a little bit too far pushed.
But you can see how passive Ivern has to be this early on.
Yeah.
Not being able to get too well into the lanes. He got the blue buff, and that is kind of, that's a win in his book. But from there onwards, it's kind of difficult to really get into a lane and do anything. So there's some unique interaction with this Q. He's going to sneak into the back of the lane now, look to land the Q, and then it allows you to click on the champion and you follow up and you close the distance. So we'll see how this interaction ends up playing out.
Yeah, if he throws down that shield, you know that he's looking to try and go in. However, not going to happen. Just some Coco being set up here by Dumbledoge. As he grabs himself a cheeky chime, chilling out in that tri-brush, and Oddie's going to head back to base. Still has those double buffs, but has run out of jungle. That's what we've been seeing here on 6.23, is that junglers just tend to run out of camps to take. Should probably look at trying to gank more often, but at the moment, I mean, there just don't seem to be too many options for Oddie, and Crystal's now lurking here on the bottom side jungle, just trying to find out where that cheeky little Ivern is. Find his way into a mid lane gank potentially. Maybe have a look at bot lane, but there is nothing doing bot. And Saya's getting pushed in. Yep,
Saya's getting pushed in. Rek'Sai's coming around the side. Important to note, we just saw Ivern hit level 5. That is the point in the game where the buffs will start being shared. So after this, any buff he ends up taking will leave behind for 1 minute. A little orb you'll see indicated through the jungle. And speaking of through the jungle, Oddie's going.
Oh, can he do it? He's just going to root call his way and actually just didn't want to.
And you can see it doesn't actually aggro, but then Ivern doesn't get the second Krugs from it. So yeah. It's one of the different changes. Krugs will spawn little minions unless you're Ivern.
Well, Oddie now going to make his way into the mid lane. Good ward there by Naru and puts himself on the right side of the lane. Saya quite low on mana and at half health. Just clears out the wave and gets himself back home. Looking to possibly pick up his tier See what else he can grab as well. Very even on the farm as we check in on that particular score. Porky and Elwind just completely even there on the top side. First back has come in for Porky though and didn't use the teleport. So probably in a very good position is this Trundle. Mid lane, 51 to 51, 47 to 47, / 48 to 48. I'm not going to continue counting up real time as Evan RL and Zeitnot.
We've
also
got a counter
very
that
close.
does that already, Atlas.
Yep, and it's
okay.
0 to 1. Oh my goodness, Nazul letting the team down. You are infinitely less than Dumbledore right now.
Oh, forced out.
Was it forced out? I feel like that was it's just a lot of fear coming out of the little Poppy there.
Yeah, what Porky was trying to do there was trade with Elwind to just try and get as much of his health down and then force him to take another fight. Elwind was trying perhaps to wait until the Subjugate had been used, but Crystal maybe needs to be a little careful here. They will, of course, now see the Scryer's Bloom fly up through the map. Here's the important part. Red gets taken away. Cassiopeia with red buff now. Oh, can't quite get it. See, you got to be closer to it.
Doesn't get in there. Can Crystal pick it up? Don't think so.
No,
Oh, they're leaving it for Porky, maybe.
Yeah, but now they can block Porky coming. No, okay, they're not going to block it at all.
He's just going to blast cone his way
So
in.
all
The
Porky's
popcorn
gotta
going to get in
do-
there. No.
Move in. Red.
Goodness me.
Oh, they're on
Naru.
Naru.
Get on in there. Really nice shockwave, though, to keep Naru safe. Takes the magical journey. Dumbledore is going to be able to keep him alive. Speeds him up. I mean, the ghost was already there, but Naru's so lucky to be alive there.
Oh, Daisy couldn't quite pick up the kill there, but Naru, it was the shockwave that saves his life, as you said. Just enough to stay alive.
Where are we going, buddy?
Oddie's getting himself a blue buff. Daisy's
adorable, man. Oh, dopey little rock. I mean, the Sentinels, the little Sentinels near the blue buff, no longer there, but at least we've got Daisy.
Double red buff incoming. Ooh.
Yeah, Oddie gonna shield himself up as Daisy makes his way in as well. The brush goes down, but I mean, not too much more is gonna be found here as Daisy, of course, able to throw out the knock-up.
Yeah, that'll happen on the third hit from Daisy, so attempt bottom side. Evan's got to be careful here.
Yeah, good trap from Evan, though, as there's the last bullet, but not quite enough damage.
Oh
my goodness, so close as Nazul is going to block at least the deadly flourish as Dumbledore so close to dead. And no first blood yet. Good pillar comes out again. Another root caller is... Oh, that was fantastic steadfast presence there from Elwind. And he's going to be okay once again.
So many close calls in this early game, just not quite enough damage to get the kill on both sides. So this one's going a lot later on before much is happening. We're still waiting for the Caitlyn to power up. Same with the Cassiopeia. Crystal will this time secure his blue. Lost out the first one to that Ivan.
Not this time, sir. Zoddie's just going to grab himself the Krug camp. And Naru is going to be at least delivered this one. So good news story for Naru. Slight change to Orianna, of course. You can't dissonance mid-command attack. It has to get to its location before you can throw that one out. So not necessarily able to get that surprise dissonance damage that I know I used to struggle with just a little bit. And Crystal now trying his hand at some counter jungling and should be able to.
If he can get this, is fairly significant.
Scryer's Bloom, though. Nazul looking to try and stun him up. Not going to get out, but he's going to find it eventually.
They would really have liked to have denied that double red buff play. Caitlyn has to deal with the minions pushed into tower. There's only 2 or 3 left there, so she's actually going to leave them. Thought that it was a bit more dangerous with Bard sticking around than possible, but Dumbledore is only level 5, no access to his ultimate yet, so even though he's around mid lane, can't quite see that play being available. And yes, we saw Evan RL actually did pick up that red buff.
Yeah, so that's a red buff that was delivered to Porky on the top side of the map from the enemy jungle, and Evan RL grabs one on the bottom side of the map in his own jungle. So Oddie has just been able to supply everyone with all the buffs that they want. I'd love a statistic of how many red buffs there have been in this game for our Team Ice representatives in comparison to Turkey on the side of Team Fire.
So Crystal got the first one, and then they haven't got any since, if I
don't think
correct.
so, exactly.
And then we've had 2 double reds, so it's 5 to 1 at 10 minutes in. Just unless my math is terrible. Someone will correct us, I'm sure.
It sounded like it could be right, and that's the main thing. Definitely like that. As Oddie looking to poke his head in. They do have exclusive vision down here. Crystal's waiting in the wings potentially. Remember, this root caller has a very long range.
Yep. Ooh, Daisy is available as well.
Yeah. Not Crystal. Not going to be spotted. Oh my goodness, that vision so close as Scryer's Bloom comes in. No root caller to land. Does Zeitnot... Oh. What a damage.
Yep, just trying to push the wave out, push him back, and trying to get just a little bit more presence in the bottom side. But this game is a little bit of a tense one for now. Despite the buffs going over to Team Ice pretty
It's 200 gold the
convincingly.
difference. It's nothing at all at the moment, despite Oddie's shenanigans.
Crystal's been farming up fairly heavily. He hasn't had to get into the lane to counter-gank all that much. And honestly, the Team Fire laners have been holding their own for the majority when it comes to their lanes. So it's a very odd game. Oddie cancelled that.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get it here. And the stat is official. They've got 3 red buffs to 1, and also 3 blue buffs to 1 as well. It's
But
just
that's,
they're real greedy when it comes to the old amount of buffs.
That's 3 of their own.
What do you mean?
As
no,
in,
a whole game.
Because
Just
there's
3
doubles.
Yeah.
We've had 2 doubles, which makes 4. So they have to have had more than 3.
But if you're just talking about how much counter jungling Oddie's been doing, I mean, it's
That's
still a pretty
fair.
cool stat.
Fair.
I thought. I mean, I don't necessarily know.
I'm just trying to inflate the stat. Here comes Porky, though.
Well, not about that, as Porky is going to get caught underneath the double. Good flash. Gets himself over, and the pillar's in a great position as well. Root Caller not quite long range enough. Never thought I'd say that, because that ability has a huge range.
Subjugate just enough to keep Porky alive throughout that. Now Crystal's going to end up running into C if he's not careful. C is playing the very sneaky game, and he's not even there. Our observers juke me.
Yeah, totally juked. Nara's going to find his way up there as well. Scryer's Bloom's going to spot out Oddie once again, clearing out some vision. Red buff gained. The second one here for Turkey. They're trying to claw their way back in that department. Blue buff now going to spawn. Oddie should be able to get
Dumble Doge has his ult.
Yeah, Dumble Doge finds his way into the top lane, and Porky, no mana, no nothing, nowhere to go, no friends. It's just an awful situation for the Trundle, and he's so dead. First blood comes in, and that's going to go to Crystal.
Oh, bot lane, hang on. Couldn't call.
Zeit
not?
Zeit not worried about dying? What? He's still alive. Okay, calculated. Never
Just
mind. Didn't
about.
even use his heal.
Yeah, didn't even heal, didn't flash, nothing. Just
Was
stays
not
alive.
phased. Oh my goodness, not going to get stunned is Naru, as Oddie was making his way through. Good damage with the shockwave, but there's just so much composure on both of these teams. No one seems to be scared of anything.
No, nobody
Apart
is.
from Porky, who's terrified of everything.
He's scared of 3 people coming up to his lane.
Yeah.
TP coming through, hang on. We've seen Evan RL
Evan.
push up a little too far. TP in response, though.
Yeah, and there's the Inspire for the extra movement speed. Dumble Doge not quite here in time. Magically journeys his way out as Porky. He teleported exactly like you said. Good stun from Dumble Doge. That's why they call him the God of the Bard, and he's locked down Nazul. Porky, he might die one more time. There's the verdict, and Elwin's going to be able to knock them up. Nazul the first to go. Porky in trouble, but he's kept alive by the Subjugate. Daisy super mad here towards the bottom side. Looking for that third auto if he can get it. Root Caller doesn't land. Now Porky has to be careful. He doesn't have any tank stats just yet, but good shield comes down from Oddie. In fact, this shield composition is something we haven't necessarily spoken about.
Seiya.
Oh, there it is, Seiya. See you later. That's going to be Turkey grabbing that kill. He was just a little bit too far up.
Just being too far up for the rest of the fight there. Didn't have his ultimate quite available, and neither did Naru for the majority of that, but it didn't seem to matter because Turkey are going to push forward now. It's inconsequential how many buffs went over to Team Ice in this game because their laning, they couldn't really get enough of an advantage, and all of the fights so far have really gone in Turkey's favor.
Yeah, all of the money seems to be going towards them now as well with all of these kills that are going down. It is going to be a 1,200 gold lead. And this Ocean Drake looks to be able to go over to Turkey quite easily. And I just like to think that it's all about Dumble Doge. The guy gets himself towards the top lane, helps grab that first blood. Is able to orchestrate that last battle with this incredible Cosmic Binding. Have a look for it here in this replay.
Yeah, good double binding after Elwin looked to start this fight. They look to be going back perhaps against the Turkish team here because Porky comes into the fight but loses so much of his health. The double stun there was beautiful by Dumble Doge, and then catches Nazul with the ultimate at the same time. Caitlyn Trap's not quite doing enough in this fight. As you can see, a lot of the Turkish team kind of dancing around them, and from here Daisy just gets kited back, slowed down. Elwin, that's fairly important that he got that slow because from there Daisy never was able to get that knockup, ended up dying to Zeitnot, and Seiya just kind of sticks around.
Yeah, and there's the flash heroic charge, gets bonked into the wall, and
Seiya,
destroyed.
perhaps not the greatest play at that point, sticking too far forward at that, but
That's fine. He's just testing his limits. A-okay. The gold is entirely tied up as first turret blood did go over to Team Ice. Remember, Latin America North doing some work in the structural department. However, see whether they're going to be able to keep it up. And we'll see whether this sort of shield/siege composition, as Oddie is, of course, friend of the river as well.
Ah, you were right. Sorry.
There we are. Thank goodness. Had to be right sometimes. Took me about a 2-year career to get there. We finally made it. As the brush is going to be put down here by Oddie. He's just pressing his buttons, helping clear out this minion wave.
But
it's going to be it.
Bot lane did fall first, so we had first blood for the towers a lot earlier in the game.
Yep.
Oh, shockwave.
Oh, Saya, the last auto attack from the Clockwork Wind-Up as Naru locks up that kill with the help of his support as well. This tower is going to fall and they take the magical journey. The fadeaway jump shot to clear out the turret is beautiful here from the Turkish lineup. 4-0 in kills. They're doing so much work. Ghost has been put down. Porky dodges the stun, but he's taking a lot of damage. Has to flash to get out of the Tempered Fate. And there's the flash. No, just pops him. See ya later. That's why this guy was the prodigy from Turkey. Instantly dead is Evan RL.
Flash forward to make sure he could get the dissonance in time, but man, that was one big hit from Naru there on that kill. Evan RL was not expecting it. And Turkey, they look to push onto tower. The minions are gone though, so they will have to fall back for the next minion wave.
Yeah, and that is 80% kill participation now for Naru on this Orianna. 3-0-1, now going to go back to base. We'll see what he picks up. I really hope it is a Rabbidan's death cap, as we are going to see this kill one more time. And it's just the perfect combo. Clockwork Wind-Up. See you later.
Say it had flash. Flashed late. Thought he had avoided the shockwave at first, and then we flash forward to the rest of the engage as Dumbledore was looking to go aggressive. Couldn't quite catch the ultimate, but Naru says I don't need the ult to be able to take people out, and just completely shuts down Evan RL.
Yeah, and this just in, Naru in fact did 2,000 damage in 10 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
ridiculous.
Insane.
The fact that he perfectly cancelled his auto attack animation to move his ball, the command attack, just enough in order to destroy Saya before he could flash, was silly.
Impressive.
I mean, you could go over that particular 1v1 in very close detail and be very impressed with what Naru was able to do. But we don't have time for that. We need to watch Oddie be friends with the forest.
And
as
friends,
passive would
he has
indicate.
been. He's got a lot of jungle camps from around the map. Has been stealing them away, but Crystal's been farming up fairly heavily himself.
Yep.
When you look at the farm leads, so slightly down in the bottom lane for Zeitnot as well. But importantly, we were talking a little bit about itemization for Jhin. Has gone towards that Essence Reaver.
Yeah.
Not the Ghost Blade with the Dusk Blade alongside it. The changes to lethality and armor penetration kind of removed a lot of the armor pen functionality for 80 carries when lethality replaced it.
As well as the removal of the attack speed on the active of Ghostblade as well. I mean, Jhin did get a lot out of that just in flat damage when you activated that item for his long-range spells. As now Oddie throws down his brush, is just going to blast seed his way up here towards the top side to try and defend this turret. He's going to do so and avoids getting stunned. See on the bottom side of the map, it's Evan RL just trying his very best to clear out these minions as fast as possible, and he's going to be able to do so. But Elwind also just pulling himself further and further ahead in this farm, while Zeitnot and Dumbledore are able to take down this outer turret on the top side of the map. Naru just being this one-man army in the mid lane for the moment, drawing over 2 members. Latin America North side.
And that's the big problem here, because, you know, we spoke about how good the sieging theoretically was for Team Ice here, for Latin America North. But Naru being such a big threat in the middle lane is causing multiple people to come over and defend against him. And then Evan RL was in the bottom lane defending against Elwind. So, Oddie, your friends are getting killed.
Okay.
They can't really hang on to their turrets at the same time. They have enough wave clear. Evan RL's got to be careful here.
Most certainly.
Oh,
As all gets cancelled out of the net, but does manage to flash himself out of the way. Nazul, that is not a friendly deadly flourish, but isn't going to be taken down underneath this turret.
Naru's moving over to the top side though, so should be able to slip in behind the turret if he wants to, but the minion wave isn't there, so they're just going to take out the traps. Yeah, they know that Naru's there, but...
Well, the brushes are being set up. Oddie is trying to counter-siege them underneath this tower as best he can. Miasma also helping out as Naru stunned by the root caller, but no follow-up there from Oddie. Dumbledore clears out the vision. So, not quite finding their way in our Turkey, as Porky and Elwin just having a bit of a fight, but Porky flat out doesn't care about it. Ravenous Hydra's done, he's got his lifesteal, and yeah, Trundle ain't going to be moving anytime soon on the bottom side of the map.
And just healing up from those minions from that trade. Again, until Subjugate is used, nothing really happens in the Trundle lane when he's against
And when it does get used, then Elwin just bops him away.
Oh yeah. Just ults him back, says, okay, enough of this trade.
And that's why there's a gentleman's agreement that we're going to biff each other a little bit, but we're never really going to commit to anything because we just know how it plays out.
Interesting.
Going to grab himself a blue buff, and now the Ocean Drake is going to be augmented by this Mountain Drake that Turkey should be able to grab with no contest.
I wonder whether that was a mistake. Not the dragon, something that happened in the jungle there for Team Ice. Nazul was stood by Adi as he was taking red buff, so Nazul got the red buff.
Oh no, Karma with red buff instead. Is the dream, man.
I mean,
it means you can keep slowing them down so that they're definitely going to get rooted by your
feels like maybe Evan RL should have been the one to get that. I mean, typically, that's...
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I was trying my very best to justify it, but it was pretty weak at best. Let's be honest. The girl can dream. Adi now throws down his control ward. Doesn't quite have the vision range to see the things hanging around him. Stumbledoge just collecting some chimes. Crystal makes his way back into the jungle. That Scryer's Bloom not going to be utilized for the moment. They're very comfortable with their vision around this Baron pit. And in fact, no one going for the cheeky Barons this time. Maybe they weren't watching game one.
Maybe not. Maybe they weren't.
Oh, Nazul! You are in trouble, buddy. Takes a lot of damage. Prey Seeker's not enough. And thankfully, that Trigger Seed was put down on top of him, gave him the shield, and was then okay.
Yeah, he's okay, will heal up now. Maybe that's what the red buff was preempting.
Exactly!
He's gonna get the health back. I'm not justifying that.
That's it. No. I'm happy to go with it. Perfect.
Porky realizes he can't win the trade
not enough.
without Subjugate. Here is the problem. So now he has to back himself away. Poppy a little too strong now on 2 items. Evan RL has to be really careful.
Yeah, Naru does a lot of work. Finishes off the Ryle's Crystal Scepter, actually, instead of grabbing the Rabadon's Death Cap, which I would have liked as Oddie. A bit of damage is taken, but there's the root caller. Trigger Seed comes in. Here comes Daisy to try and take down Naru. Redemption is there, but Naru is able to flash himself out of the way and offer some damage back. Zeitnot gets the stun onto Saya, but no follow-up here available from Turkey.
But it's the damage done to the tower now that is the key thing to look at, because the Turkish team have almost got that tower to 1 hit, so they commit 2 people on the top side to Naru, don't even kill him, and now Naru is able to come back over towards the top side again, gonna push it back out. The Turkish team are looking to go aggressive.
Yeah, in goes Daisy one more time. Zeitnot possibly out of position here, but does flash himself out of the way. Tempered Fate does a whole bunch of work as Daisy was snared up by it. Elwin now gets himself right into the front line, but Porky, he's so strong with this Subjugate rolling, and Elwin is just going to get munched on. Crystal as well as Nazul. Just keeping Evan RL safe. Dumbledore off to the side looking for a flank as Naru says, I don't really care about what's going on in this particular fight. I'm just going to take down this turret.
It's going to be 2 turrets now for nothing in response. That turret may end up falling in the mid lane depending on whether Zeitnot can look to clear this out. Naru is coming around the back with Dumbledore though.
Oh, this is a shockwave opportunity. Does have it back off cooldown as Saya trying to get the poison in. There's the curtain call. They avoid the stun as Saya falls. Naru just pegs a ball at him. Porky now in trouble, has to flash out of the way of the Deadly Flourish. Nazul running for the hills as well. There's Evan. Oh, he's far enough away. Everything's going to be fine, but Saya was super dead.
This point of the game is looking really rough for LATAM North, because when you look at their composition, it's really just saying, well, we're going to try and wait till Caitlyn and Cassiopeia can just take this game over. And they've got a passive jungler now as well, a Trundle that can't really defer the push that's coming from Poppy anymore. And there's no way of them contesting this Baron. There's no way of them getting close enough, and from that trade, it's 2 towers, a handful of kills, and now a Baron buff going over to the Turkish representatives.
Yeah, this just in though, Crystal did smite it to 32 health before it was taken down, so there's a potential opportunity there for a steal, but Oddie, of course, nowhere near it, no opportunity to get himself into the pit, so the smite was probably a little bit more relaxed. But Turkey, I mean, 6-0, it's a 7,000 gold lead, and despite the cool composition that ICE have put together, that LATAM North have put together, they haven't been sieging. They've been sieged against this entire game.
A lot of it is just from how strong Naru has been at an earlier point in the game to Seiya. Seiya just has not been able to contain him at all. This last pick, Oriana, has done wonders for the Turkish team. And it just is a threat that requires multiple people come to deal with.
How do you feel about double redemption? Oh my goodness, the gank brush from LATAM North! As Elwind is decided not to be engaged on. Curtain Call comes in, Nazul taking a whole host of damage. Porky and Oddie are okay. Redemption goes down for a little bit of healing as Daisy's just trying to keep them preoccupied. But Naru says, I got Baron buff, and you guys just never seem to want to come towards me, so I'm going to take down your inhibitor turret.
Yeah, I mean, Naru's just pushing away. Everybody just stood in a bush outside of the base. Now they want to go aggressive.
Yeah, another redemption coming in there as Zeitnot just gets exploded. Evan's able to pick up that kill. So much damage here as Porky will need to use his ult, but doesn't actually have it available. Oh, the Ignite's not enough, and the Trundle lives. And he's going to be just Zeitnot falling down, but it looks like Turkey is still wanting to play aggressive. No Shockwave. Their damage is still available. Crystal and Elwin very, very tanky. And they are able to pressure down the inhibitor.
Oh, Porky looking from the TP for the side.
Magical journey. Oh, that pillar was brilliant, but really good heroic charge. And Elwin gets himself out with the blast cone or the popcorn, or whatever you want to call it. Good stun from Dumbledore. You can always trust him to do something cool on the Bard. Gets himself out of there.
But it's an inhibitor going down.
You cheeky devil. He just stole a red buff. What?
Just sticks around, realizes everybody else is focusing on the rest of his team, and he should be able to get out of this. I mean, with the steadfast presence, the little legs, he'll run himself out.
Yeah, of course, they're natural sprinters. Very dangerous over short distances. Exactly right.
He didn't even recall. The rest of his team is now going to do the Infernal Drake.
Now goes back. Almost has his teleport back available. That's a huge minion wave up top. And this variety bucket of dragons is going to be taken down by Turkey. His Infernal Drake for Dragon number 3 is going to be picked up. Naru, of course, on his own, but the rest of his team running after him, saying, hey, buddy, I think it's time for some team fights.
Yeah, and you might be about to get one, because the Turkish team, as they push up, will take down another turret. Of course, have the Mountain Drake that will help them with that. But Team Ice have got to be careful fighting in these chokes. Got to be careful. Shockwave.
Yeah, able to get a lot of stuns down as well. As Oddie, is exactly right.
I hear you like a brush in your brush.
Porky's going to get stunned. Why was he walking that way? The last command attack is going to be able to lock that one up. Crystal now looking for the double knock-up and gets it. Oddie just gets sniped by the Curtain Call Seiya. Really good stun, but it's a double kill for Naru. And Tempered Fate is going to grab Nazul. Naru, oh my god, that was close. Good flash by Nazul, gets himself out. But I have a feeling that Shockwave would have got him if he had enough.
With Oddie and Porky being a little out of position, they say that's all, folks, as Turkey are looking to push into the base. I mean, this has been a convincing win for the Turkish team.
That was a cute little flash one more time, but Evan is going to survive this one. The autos come in. He didn't even dodge the damage as Naru was looking for it. There are redemptions going down all over the place. It's like they're playing against India in Civilization 5 at the moment, but the Nexus is going to be taken down. Turkey coming out so strong. 9 kills to 1. And Team Fire looking super dominant. We knew these guys were going to be good. I mean, I personally had a lot of expectation. They did not disappoint this time around.
Yeah, the Turkish...
of the buffs, like 3-1 in both buffs in the first couple of rotations. Like, really, really nicely played by this Ivan to show exactly what his strengths are, because he's a very unique jungler with how he works, and it looked like Oddie certainly knew exactly how to utilize it.
The difficulty on that, though, is that the team trying to play around that. If you have a jungler that is facilitating your lanes and is saying, okay, well, I'm going to put that jungler behind, he can't really get into your lanes, I'm going to get you buffs as well, you've got to utilize that. You've got to be forcing the advantage, get yourself a CS lead, try and get those kills, but it's very, very difficult when you have one lane that's kind of getting soloed down time and time again. And the same with the top side. They tried the dive, and Porky stayed alive for Ice. They tried the kill onto Elwind, and Elwind stayed alive as well. So just very close calls early on.
Yeah, exactly right. But for more on that win, let's hand it over to Hingers, who's standing by with Dumbledoge from Team Fire.
Thank you, Atlas. I'm joined right now by Dumbledoge from Turkey. Congratulations on the win. How did you feel that game went? You guys dominated basically the whole time.
Well, it was a fun game, to be honest, for bot lane. If I speak for bot lane, I think we did quite fine because we were against Kate's Karma and we didn't get behind LCS or we didn't lose turrets. So I would say it was a good laning, and overall we did good as a team.
But after that victory, do you feel like you guys are going to go far in this tournament? What are your expectations?
Well, to be honest, I don't know what to expect from One for All or Assassin mod, because no one is experienced with these things. And I mean, we will try to win. We usually play these mods for fun, you know. We will also try to win this time, and I don't know what will happen, to be honest.
But if you can give us a sneak peek into your strategy going into these modes, what do you reckon it's going to be? I mean, Kira said he was just going to fast pick LeBlanc as quickly as possible. Is that the same with you?
Well, to be honest, I'm practicing some champions for 1v1. Some champions that can farm, because I'm usually behind at CS since I never farm. That's pretty much all.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations again on the win. Best of luck in the rest of the tournament. And it's now time to throw it back to Sifa at the desk to break down that game.
Thanks heaps, Hingers. All right, that was terrible. I tried it. Yeah, Australian. I can't do the accent. I go to OCE so frequently, and it never works out. But let's avoid my terrible accent. Let's talk a little bit about that draft phase coming out. We talked a lot about the bans. Mithy, I want to throw to you first. We're seeing pretty much the trifecta of Syndra, Ryze, and LeBlanc being banned now after Syndra got one chance to appear. Is this just going to be constant throughout the event?
Yeah, even though Syndra didn't really win the last game, like 2 games ago, I still think that Syndra is really strong, and if the team plays well around the Syndra's pressure early game, it just becomes a really hard thing to deal with. So I feel like that trifecta is going to go on for the whole event.
You're also seeing how aware people are right now of not only the changes to LeBlanc, where she has a lot more wave clear, she has a lot of damage, she has a lot of utility with her ultimate. She's just a very flexible mid laner that can fit into a bunch of different compositions. And you've got Courage of the Colossus Ryze, which everyone is like, no, 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 no. And so we were actually, during the game, having a chance to chat with Kira, and he was saying, yeah, right now the only champion that can go into LeBlanc is Ryze, and the only champion that can go into Ryze is LeBlanc. So you kind of have to take them both away.
As exciting as the mid lane is, I think we have to turn our attention to the jungle. And no, it is not the Rek'Sai. Thank God it's not the Rek'Sai we're excited about, although still a good champion. Ivern. Let's talk Ivern. Rusty, you've put out articles. You've talked at length. What did we see this game? What do we expect from Ivern when it comes to him normally?
So a couple of interesting things. We have to highlight that he got Ivern and Caitlyn. Of course, the Turkish side first picked Jhin, so it opens up a really cool strategy. But the way that Ivern pathed in this game was Raptors, Wolves blue buff, Gromp, and then all the way back, collecting all of that money before he stole the enemy blue buff. And this is something that you'll see standard from Ivern, but no one can actually counterplay it because of how effectively he can actually clear in the jungle. Unfortunately, past that point, his team could not actually get around what he had started.
Yeah, definitely rough overall. Mithy, I know you've been having the chance to scrim a little bit, playing a slightly more serious competitive environment. What has your experience been with Ivern?
Well, we always ban Ivern because it's just like a more extreme and powerful version of the old Nunu, the one that just walked into your face, started like the mode, you know, and it was annoying as fuck. So yeah, that guy is annoying, and the Ivern is even worse. So we ban it every game.
Yeah. I think the positive term we like to use is disruptive, but annoying does feel pretty accurate when it comes to Ivern overall. Of course, Ivern, while it was an exciting pick, it wasn't really the story of this game. So let's talk a little bit about what exactly happened here. It really felt like Turkey was in control 100% of the time.
I mean, I really want to highlight Naru, to be honest, because I was hyping up say it, being like, hey, this guy loved to play assassins. He loved to be being on those type of mid laners that could just really dominate his opponent. And to be honest, he was just getting kills left, right, and center. He picked up a solo kill on his opponent in the mid lane. Like, Naru was just having a fantastic game.
Yeah, I think we actually have to go one step further. Naru was a hard carry for his team and looked really good, but all of the Turkish team just looked super clean. It looked like they were almost above and beyond, and for a game one, that's a pretty scary prospect moving forward.
Yeah, similarly, Dumbledore, we heard in his winner's interview, obviously prepping for 1v1, not as quite as comfortable on those assassins, those 1v1 champions, but his Bard looks as crisp as ever, and I think this is going to be the steady reminder for teams here. You kind of have to ban this guy out.
Yeah, well, I never really thought Bard was good now in the meta right now, where Karma is just much stronger in lane, but they didn't really get to abuse it as good as they should have. Same for Zyra, same for Nami. All these champs just win really hard against Bard. So I was surprised about the Bard pick, but I know Dumbledore because I play solo queue against him, and he's a very, very mean Bard. And on top of that, Naru, going back to Naru, also the whole EU situation where all the EU mid laners are playing against each other, and Naru happens to play in the same server as all the other mid laners, and he's kind of showing off here.
Yeah, EU West breeding the mid talent. Well, that's going to tie it up for these teams. Fire and Ice 1-1. Oh no. We're going to make like Kled and charge into the next break. But when we come back, who will come out on top when Japan takes on Oceania? Find out next.
Looking for new host. Please.